20 years have passed since a tragic fire at an illegal rave killed over 100 people outside Austin, Texas. But is that all that happened on the night in question? Experience the horror of Vampire the Masquerade like never before. Jackalope LARP and White Wolf present a blockbuster LARP horror event. The Night in Question, November 17th, 2018, Austin, Texas. Jackalope-LARP.com for tickets and information. Where will you be on the night in question?
You are now listening to the NerdWords podcast, brought to you by UtilityMuffinLabs.com. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Press 1 for customer service. Press 2 for podcasts. Press 3 to check on an order.
Welcome to NerdWords. My name is Nathan.
And I'm Bob.
And today we're doing a podcast. So, so I wanted to ask you, because it's not super close, but it is like in about a month. How do you want to do our review of Chaining the Beast for 25 years of Vampire the Masquerade? You want to just do it like we've done every other one? Or do you want to take every path that we've reviewed and release it as a supercut podcast?
You know, it's almost makes sense to do the supercut, right?
Right.
Because if they want more, to get the more in depth, obviously. So,
well, I think what we should do is we should definitely like talk to the folks that are that listen to our Patreon podcast, that are like Patreon reward winners or whatever, and just kind of like get a consensus from the community if they're okay with us like releasing those podcasts as well. Since once the paths are done, our goal is to go through, and for those of you who are listening that don't know, like, I don't know how that's possible, but we do another podcast called 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade. And if you don't know that, that's really fucking mysterious. I don't know how that's possible. But we, for our like $10 Patreon backers, we do like a kind of an educational path podcast where we talk about like the ethics of passive enlightenment for Vampire the Masquerade, and kind of like strategies for following those ethics, and all of that fun, cool stuff. But we're almost done, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're at the tail end, really. It's just the last few paths that are not only not popular, they're one-offs.
Right. They're kind of like,
they're like almost followed and could have been followed, but not really there.
They're referenced in like one obscure book somewhere that, but yeah, we have 2 more of those left. And then we're going to be doing a review, chapter by chapter review of the new Beckett's Jihad Diary. So we're going to go through there, and every other week we're going to review a new chapter and kind of like talk about some of the things that are included in it. And, that's going to go on for, however many weeks and months that goes on for. And then we'll figure something else new. But we figure like those podcasts are only available to people that follow us, that support us on Patreon. And it'd be kind of cool to release some of those path podcasts, because we've done a little bit here on this podcast before. Like we had one where we teach people about humanity and how to follow that, but that was really it.
The fun part about that is that the aspect of the tier is it's not necessarily be in the moment, it's to be what's worth. But like I'm game to release a few.
Yeah, right.
To make it worth it. But at the same time, I want to keep that extra special tier unlocked that those who chose to support that level have too. And I think the happy medium is to release a couple.
Right. Get a couple out there, by popular demand. My thought on the process was, since we're going to be doing these new casts for those patron backers at that $10 level, it would be kind of cool to like slowly release the ones that we've already done out to the general public, but keep, the Beckett's Jihad Diary available only to our patrons. But I think we do a couple here and there, like first ones are free, and like I said, we've done a little bit already. But anyways, if you listen to that podcast and you're interested in hearing these, let us know. We're always interested to hear what our backers and just our regular listeners think. And
just help us out further. Regular listeners who aren't at that tier, just give us by popularity your top 3.
Right.
Just give us your top 3 so we can go look. There are more than 3.
Right.
Just to let you know they get reviewed.
Yeah, there's a ton of them
going on.
Yeah. So anyways, do you want to hear about our experience at the AT&T store this week?
It's such an odd segue. Yeah. Knock me out with your AT&T store story.
So it has nothing at all to do with a nerdy topic. It's just, you have a podcast. Occasionally you like to talk about the shit that vexes you in your life. I've been using a MVNO is what they call it, which is like a smaller cell phone company that uses another company's cell towers, but they're not like a major national carrier or whatever. It wasn't a bad company. It's just I was getting raked over the coals with the cost, and combining forces with the lady friend, we're kind of like she's paying less than I'm paying for a better plan than what I have, and I'm paying out the ass. And it's just like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Let's consolidate and save ourselves some money. And she has AT&T. She's got a discount through her work. So I'm like, yeah, obviously I don't want you to join up on me. Let me, we'll join up on you. So we go to the cell phone store, and I'm fully prepared to like pay next to nothing for as shitty a phone as could be. Right. I don't care. I'm just like, I just want functional cell phone service. And there's certain criteria I need, one of which is having GPS, because I don't know where the fuck anything is at in Indiana. I don't know where shit is. So I'm slowly learning. But so we go to this AT&T store, and we go after work. It's about 6:15 or whatever. And we're just kind of like, just relaxed, kind of like, had some dinner, and we go into this AT&T store, and it's fucking packed. And that's fine, right? Like any cell phone stores, it's probably going to be packed. It's not a big deal. And we walk in, and they like add us to their little queue or whatever, and we sit down. And as I'm looking around, I realize it's 6:15 and there's only 2 employees in an AT&T store. And there's people who clearly had been waiting longer than we had. And
some people were sick or something. And
well, that's maybe what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe, somebody called in sick or something, or, whatever. I don't know. But I'm like 6:15, 2 employees in an AT&T store seems a little bare bones to me. But hey, maybe I'm just used to, maybe I'm used to more. So we sit down and we're cool. We're just chilling. And I don't know the exact amount of time that we waited, but I feel like it was about 45 minutes. And I'm super interested in what's going on because, like you, I've worked in cell phones basically most of my adult life, right?
You've waited an obscene amount of time.
Right. I've been in these stores. I worked for Apple for 2 years. I worked for Sprint for 11 years. I've got 13 years of experience in the cell phone industry. Just to lay it on the line for people, I fucking know cell phones. I fucking know cell phone stores, right? I am the guy you are not getting shit past. I've worked for the worst cell phone company in Sprint. I've worked for the best, arguably, in in Apple. So whatever. Along with that length of my experience comes a very chill attitude. I get how shitty customers can be, so I'm totally fine, right? I'm like Zen, right? This is my happy place. So I'm hanging out. We're waiting. I don't care. I understand they're busy. There's 2 people working, and most of the customers in the store, totally chill, totally fine. And I'm hearing this one guy talk, and this one guy is talking, and you can tell, like, he's big on customer service. There's a certain thing that exudes from people when they talk, where like their language and their body language is just 100% customer service centric. So I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be a bad experience aside from a long wait. So we finally get our name called, and our name, when this guy got done, luckily our name, we were just the first people that were still in the store. There was like 5 people that were called before us that were just gone, right? They just fucking left. So
Right.
you could tell like the wait time had been pretty ridiculous. So finally we get called up and we sit down at this table and we're kind of explaining and the lady friend is explaining like, you know, here's what we're trying to do. We just, you know, he's got a phone with another carrier, blah, 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 blah. And so immediately this guy's like, oh, well, hey, we've got this really good deal going on right now where if you buy an Android phone or an Apple phone, you get an Android phone or an Apple phone for free, right? You get the same type of phone for free, you know, for getting the one. And she's like, well, I don't really need a new phone. And I'm like, well, you know, I need a new phone and like, I'm willing to pay for mine. So it's like, if you don't need it, like it's free. Who cares? Right. Like they're going to credit you. And he explains like, hey, we get you this new phone and it's basically you get a credit every month on a bill for it because all the cell phone carriers now, they lease the phones, right? Like you're paying monthly for the phone on your bill. It's not like it was back in the day where you sign a 2-year contract and you get, you pay $200 and you get your iPhone or whatever. Now you're paying full price for the phone, but you're paying for it monthly on the bill and you're not signing a contract on your plan. So, and for those of you who are listening who don't know, I assure you, this is not better for the consumer, no matter what your cell phone provider will tell you. It's more money is more money. I don't care how you fucking pepper math into my face. It's not better for the consumer. Anyways, it's not a bad deal. It's like an extra $20 some a month. Big whoop. So he's like, all right, well, let's get you these phones. And we kind of like jump into it. Now, again, I've already established I know what the fuck I'm doing. So I have a Post-it note in my wallet that's got my account number, that's got the account PIN. It's got every piece of important information that we need because my goal as a customer is to make this process as smooth and as easygoing as possible for me. Right. I don't want any snags. I don't want any of this, like, I don't know my account. I don't want to have to leave and come back, period. So, the guy's like, okay, well, it wouldn't be any money down today, but, you'd have to pay for the taxes on the phone. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I got this iPhone 6 here, so we'll just trade that in to pay for the taxes. And he's like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, fuck do you mean am I sure? Like, yeah, I'm sure. Right. Yes, I want to use my trade-in to pay for the taxes so I don't have to come out of pocket for any money. And, he's like, oh, well, a lot of people, they like to hold on to their phone just in case they, so they don't lose any information. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to now readily admit to you something. I know how to use my phone. Like, I worked for Apple for 2 years. In a technical position. I worked for that carrier for 11 years. And I was like, I know what's going on here. Like I'm not an uneducated consumer. I know exactly what's going on here. So, I'm good to trade my phone in, needless to say. And he's like, oh, okay. And when I told him that I worked for Apple, the whole tone of the conversation changed. So now he's asking me all kinds of questions about like, hey, what does this mean? Or what is it?
You're not educating him.
Right. So now it's gone from him doing his job to him trying to get information out of me about like stuff that can help him in his job. And that's fine. I don't mind doing that. But the guy's not a multitasker, right? And so it's Rachel's sitting there, I'm sitting here, guy's sitting there, and then there's another customer that's been waiting for a while, and then so he starts chiming in, right? And he's asking questions, and now suddenly, because I made this admission, I'm like the center of attention, and I don't really want to be. I want to get this job done. I don't want to spend time in a cell phone store. I fucking hate cell phone stores.
Right.
But I'm nice, I'm courteous, whatever. So this chat goes on and he's entering information in and he's like, oh, hey, is this the correct number here? And I'm like, no, it's this other number. And he's like, oh, okay. And then, he's doing some more talking and then
is this like a newer worker? I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Well, I can't,
Johnny New.
It's hard to say, it's hard to say if he was new or if he'd been doing it for a while, but he was clearly distracted. He was more distracted by like getting information out of me than he was doing his job. Nice guy, but not focused on what he should have been doing. So he gets up for some reason. He goes, I think he went to like grab phones or do something. And I'm like, I got to take a piss, right? And cell phone stores, even though it's not like legally permitted, there's no bathroom in a fucking cell phone store that the public can get to. So I get up and I walk out of the store. I tell Rachel, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to go, hit the bathroom and I'll come right back. So I want to make clear here for those listening to the podcast, I did not give him any Apple specific info in case anyone from Apple is listening. I was handed a note.
It's so weird.
Well, that's another thing, right? I was mentioning while we're having this conversation, he's like, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" And I was like, "Well, I got to be honest with you. There's certain things I can't tell you because, I signed an agreement with Apple, right? I'm not allowed to talk about certain things. Like I can't give out like repair processes. I can't talk about how things are manufactured. Like I signed a legal agreement.
Bottom line, I can't give you a leg up for a company I used to work for.
Right. And that's the thing. Like I'm telling them, it's dual purpose. It's one, to get them to stop fucking asking me questions, and two, it's so we can get done and we can leave and go about our day and get our fucking business taken care of, because we don't want to spend 2 hours in a fucking cell phone store. So by this time, it's I would say 5 minutes to 8 o'clock, right? I didn't realize it was 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. We've been there since 6:15. So for almost 2 hours, and we're still just going through the process of getting these phones activated. And I get up because there's no bathroom, and I'm like, I got to take a piss. I had a bottle of water while I was sitting there, and I run over to Jimmy John's. I don't think anything of it. No problem. So I get to Jimmy John's. I do my business. I buy a bottle of water because I don't want to be that guy, like come in, use your bathroom, and leave. So I grab a bottle of water and I come back and I go to open the door and the door is locked. And I'm like, okay, no big deal, whatever. So I just I tap on it and I'm waiting there, and they won't let me back into the store.
Why?
Right. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I can see the guy that's helping us standing there talking to the other guy that he's working with, but I can't hear them because I'm outside. And then Rachel walks up and she's like, they won't let you back in. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
What?
What do you mean they won't let me back in? And she's like, oh, well, she says that their boss, they audit whether or not people come in after close, and they could get in trouble if they let you back in. And I'm like, I'm a customer.
Get the fuck out of here.
Right. I'm like, I'm a customer.
They were just helping you.
Right, exactly.
They were just helping you. You went to get a bottle of water, use the bathroom, and they locked the door?
Right.
You're fired. You're fired.
Right.
Oh my God, are you fired? You and your whole damn crew are fired. I wouldn't keep that talent. It's not even talent. Where are you from? Right. Oh my God, that is embarrassing customer service.
Right.
Just embarrassing.
So I look at Rachel and I'm like, well, tell them to let me back. Like, how can they not let me back in? And she's like, well, she goes over the whole thing. Like, if they let you back in, they get in trouble, da, 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 da. And I'm like, then tell them to cancel everything. Cancel the whole fucking thing. And I'm done. Like,
because that's how you lose business.
Right. So I'm literally like, fuck you guys. You don't want to let me back in the store. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what if I'm the one with the money in my pocket? What if I'm the one with the credit card? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm in the process. They don't have a public restroom. They lock me out. And she's like, well, they can't cancel it because they already ported your number over. And I'm like,
what the fuck?
Right. And I'm like,
how did they port your number over and won't let you back in store to get your product?
Right. So I'm like, they already ported my number over.
I'd have called the fucking cops.
So I'm like, tell them to reverse everything. I don't get, and like now I'm standing out there and I'm fuming. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Tell them to reverse it. We'll go somewhere else tomorrow. And she's like, no. And like she walks away. I can't hear what's going on. And she's like, don't worry about it. I got it under control. I'll get it taken care of. Just wait out there for me. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I could make a big deal out of this, or I could just fucking relax, grab a seat, and just fume. And so that's what I chose to do. I said, fuck it. I'll just sit here. Right. So I sit on the bench. And I'm just like, these fucking, and the whole time in my head, I'm like, these motherfuckers are holding my phone hostage, right? Like they're holding, I don't have a phone. I can't make a call. I can't get my phone from them. Also, in my head, I'm like, this dude on a couple of times made overtures, like not wanting to do a trade-in on my phone. And I'm trying to figure out why, right? And you know, to Rachel's credit, she's like, it's probably nothing. And in retrospect, it probably was nothing. But whatever. I sit there, I go grab some coffee, I come back and I'm sitting on the bench, and it's another half a fucking hour before she comes out. And she comes out and I'm fucking pissed, right? I'm just like, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just like, what the fuck? And she's pissed too. Like you can tell she's pissed because she had no control over what was going on. And her ringer, right? The guy who knows everything and knows the questions to ask is fucking forced outside. And for some reason, I'm out there for another half hour. But I'm like, fuck it. You know, not a big deal. We have our phones. It's cool. You know, we have a little argument, which doesn't, you know, really, it's not pertaining to the story, but basically she went through with the buyback, with the trade-in on the phone, and it was an iPhone 6. And now granted, it's not a new phone, right? It's a couple of years old, but they gave her $50 for it. And as soon as she tells me, she comes out and she says, yeah, I still ended up having to pay like $45. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, didn't you trade in the phone? And she's like, yeah, they only gave me $50 for it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They only gave you $50 for an iPhone 6? Like, I could sell that, and feel free to Google it, but I could sell it for $150 on eBay right fucking now. No problem. It's got a brand new battery and a brand new screen on it. It's a fucking great working phone. Right? But I'm like, whatever. I'm like, that pisses me off. You know, I fucking held that phone hostage. And she's like, doesn't matter. We got working phones. You know, I told him I didn't give a shit what was going to happen as long as I left the store with 2 working phones. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So we have our little spat. We go home. We make some test calls. No big deal. Go to bed, wake up the next morning, and Rachel's like, hey, call me right away. There's a problem with your phone. And I'm like, okay. So I try to call her, and it takes me immediately to AT&T. And so for whatever reason, and when I say whatever reason, I mean because the person who was helping us was a fucking moron, the port didn't even go through. Because he put the pin where the fucking account should have been. He transposed the 2 numbers because he wasn't paying attention, because he was too busy asking me about Apple phones and insurance. So all of that shit, 2 hours of waiting, getting locked out, spending a half an hour outside. We didn't even leave the fucking store with working phones. And here's the problem. The guy tested the phones before Rachel left and didn't realize, because he's a fucking idiot, that when AT&T phones are on Wi-Fi, they can call to each other, even if they're not active. So this guy knows so little about his fucking job, he wasn't even able to properly test them. So we still had to fucking call AT&T. And here's the saddest part about this. It wouldn't have mattered what company we were with. We still would have had this fucking experience. That's the problem with cell phone companies. That's the problem with going to them. They're all shit. Every one of them. They're all shit, and their employees are all poorly trained. When we walked in there, both of I mean, there's no other way to put it. There's no other. It sounds super dismissive, like, oh, I work for a cell phone company. I'm great. Maybe you are. You probably are. You, the individual listening, you're probably awesome. But the company you work for sucks. Whatever company that is, they're shit. So yeah,
it just sounds like you got a real bad crew, or people exhausted at the end of the day were cutting corners.
Right.
Clearly, cutting corners would let you back in the store. I mean,
wouldn't let me back in the store. Like, had my physical property in their store and wouldn't let me back in.
I'd have been more worried about losing my job because of that.
Right.
Not letting you in than anything else. Like, what have they done if you'd have called the cops?
Right. I have no idea.
That's a theft.
The problem is I couldn't call the cops.
Right. Well, I mean, even going next door, it's like, hey, man, come to 18. Why? They kept my phone and locked me out. We were in the middle of a transaction.
Dude.
They got my critical info.
Right.
You know.
Right. That's what really fucking baffled me. And so I guess, you know, Rachel was inside and she was like, yeah, the guy didn't even know that you had left. because the other guy that was there that was asking questions too, the other customer, I guess he had been coming in and out. And he told the guy, like, if you go out, you can't come back in because we have to lock the doors. And Rachel turned to him and she was like, you realize my boyfriend, like, he just went to go to the bathroom. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize he'd left. And I'm like, that's how inattentive you are? That you didn't realize
that? Hold up. It's just a line of shit.
Right.
It's just a line of shit. Because he knew you were leaving. How did he not? And the very fact that they can open the door to let people out means they can open the door to let people in. It's simple logic. It's them not wanting to do it.
Here's the best part about it. There was another customer that left before Rachel came out. The guy literally opened the door and let her out, but wouldn't let me in.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know what kind of management that you have that audits you. I don't know what AT&T's policies are about letting people in and out. But if you have my property and there is another human being there with me, and I leave because I have to go use the restroom, and you won't let me back in, your employees are too concerned about getting written up than letting someone back in.
I think you're failing to see the discrimination here.
Right. You are way too overvaluing nonsense over logical fucking thought.
I mean, it's easily seen as discrimination. You know, she's in there, why can't you be?
Well, it's just horseshit. And then, you know, when these fucking companies talk about, well, that's our policy. Well, you make the fucking policies. Like, your policy should not be stupid. Like, it's just, anyways.
I'm going to tell you how I lost my man card. Right?
Yes.
So I'm with Dell and a good friend of ours, Jamie
Mm-hmm.
West, you know her.
Uh-huh.
It's like, hey, we know of a sushi place in the city. You should come to Chicago. We'll go to Sushi World.
Right.
All right. It's $22 for all you can eat sushi.
It's a lot of money, but hey, you know, $22 worth of sushi is not hard to eat.
So we go to this place, right?
Right.
I'll skip the adventure and traffic in Chicago and me mutating in the car to get there. I was fucking angry getting to this place. But once we get there, I realized that the neighborhood I'm going through is my old route that I used to do for Microsoft.
Right.
And I remember that I had the most. If this is another company revealing thing,
right?
This is no way a representative of Microsoft, the company, other than a guy who works for Microsoft. Right, two guys. We drive all day. He has to show me my route and places to go. I remember what he said the first time I went here. He said, "Just so you know, this is Jewtown." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "What do you mean? Like, there's a Jewish faith community? That's pretty cool." You know, he's like, No, they got the Hallex, the Hairlax. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what you mean. And he goes, you know, the Jewish guys that wear the hats and they have the weird little wavy braids in the side of their head. I was like, I'm certain that has to do with their faith.
Right.
And like, I'm sitting in here like trying to tell this guy, well, it's my boss. I can't be over the top. But I'm like, I get you're from Chicago, but like, what the hell, man?
Right.
You know, he goes, well, if you look at the buildings, they're all well-to-do buildings and establishments, but the Jews, they won't repair the concrete and update the look so they get more people to the store because, the bricks are still holding the building. There's no leaks. There's no reason to replace it, so why replace it? And I was like, or they're pragmatic? The owners? Like, why does it have to be? Wow, dude.
Right.
And, you know, the whole time. So I'm here, like, driving around, and all I could hear, like, you know, I got one end, I have Dell going, wow, Bob, check it out. That type of building isn't where I'm from. There's so much space over here. And just wowing at all the cars and whatnot, which is fine.
Right.
But in my head, I'm having the most racist conversation I ever had to defend.
Right.
You know, he's like, be careful walking around here. They're going to try to get you with a llama. Like, what are you talking about, type guy? We pull into this lot, and there's this huge place that says buffet.
Right.
Right? Just big, huge. You know me. I haven't done buffet for at least, about a decade?
Yeah.
We just quit. I remember when you and I both were like, no buffets. We're done. We don't go to these places.
Yeah, buffets are typically... so the only buffet I've done was at GaryCon, and it was an expensive buffet. It was a prime rib buffet, and it was good. But probably not.
You also have self-restraint now. I remember that being the case.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
We made a pact. It's called restraint, right? I have this restraint. Keep this in mind.
Right.
So it says, like, you know, Hong Kong China buffet.
Right.
And this big, to give you an idea, take a Best Buy, but make it a Chinese buffet.
Jesus Christ.
That's the one huge building. And I look at Dell, and I'm like, if that's the fucking place, we're done. She's like, really? I was like, there's no way a warehouse full of sushi is going to be healthy. I can't even imagine.
Right.
And it dawns on me, hey, Bob, sushi's a Japanese fare. So probably not the Hong Kong buffet. I was like, all right.
Right.
Pull up to the side. Oh, there it is. Great. We get out. We walk in. Nice, quaint place. Decent establishment. But I'm hit with a bunch of weird, right?
Uh-huh.
First off, it wins points for me. This is in no way a racial thing. It's a cultural enjoyment thing. If I go to establish that is culturally themed, I want that culture to represent it. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I prefer to have Mexicans in the kitchen.
I would say that that's a fair outlook.
And that's how it is. I just want the fair take of it. So I get here and I'm blessed with it, right? They're there, and these chefs are like, they're amazing to watch, right? You got the sushi bar right there. They're making it, but they're staring at me when I walk in. I'm not used to that, right? So I walk in and they look at me, and I'm like, I understand I'm a big guy, but you shouldn't be running in fear.
Right.
That shouldn't happen. And we get set and we're looking, and this lady who's waiting attentively at the front damn near races over, and she's like, can I get you a drink? And I was like, yeah, we get the drink settled. And she waits for a little bit, and I'm like, please? She goes, oh, yes. And she darts off. And Jamie's telling us to run down, basically get a sheet of paper. You pick your appetizers, you pick what you want to eat, your rolls and everything. Now I'm me, and I'm new. And I got pictures, and they said, you can get 3 dumpling appetizers, all vegetable. And I was like, we'll try one of them. And then there's this yakisoba. I was like, what's yakisoba? And she's like, what it is, it's
yakisoba.
Yakisoba. It's bits of chicken with onion and green pepper on mini skewers. Like, you get 2 of them. I was like, good. Check. We're done.
Right.
Boom. And she goes, well, no, order some of your sushi on there so they can get that going. Okay. So I pull it back. I'm like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No big deal.
Right.
I'm thinking I'm getting like maybe tops. It's a unique roll where they'll combine what you selected onto one roll. So it might be 6 pieces, but it's one of each that you select. So I picked 5 different things.
You get 5.
Boy, did I fuck up.
5 fucking rolls, homie.
It was bad. They take it back and they're making it, and I could see the head chef over there just smiling. He keeps making it. He looks up and he keeps smiling at me the whole time.
Right
while he's making it. You could tell, apparently, I don't know. And I'm sucking down lemonade. You know me in liquid. It doesn't last. Right. So I'm just gone. I have 3 lemonades waiting. I have the appetizers. Appetizers are gone. And we all get our food. And they bring out, the presentation was immense.
Right.
I get this wooden boat worth of what I ordered. And I'm staring at it. I'm like, this is 22 pieces of sushi. This is real. Like, how am I going to eat all this? And then I grab the thing and I'll explain how. And I don't care what anybody thinks of me here. Maybe it was in honor of my boss and we've come full circle. I remember saying, hey, this is Juketown, right? I'm sitting here and I hear it's $1.95 or something like that per piece of sushi left unaided on top of the 22.
Wow.
I ate every fucking bit of sushi.
Yeah.
Every bit. I sat there eating it. I mean, it was to the point to where a couple times, you ever get so full where you're positive that anything else coming in you is going to come out?
Yeah.
Right? You're going to hurl.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, pace it out. Just take some breath. Just lean back like this is way too much. Now, Dell is unique. Not only she's a small woman.
Right.
She also doesn't have the capacity to digest all things because Verona, I won't get into her personals, but she just normally can't.
Right.
She put away more sushi than I did. I did 22 pieces. I will let a girl keep her estimate. I will let her keep her idea. But she was the damn shark sitting at the table. Right? Like, I think it was so bad that, I don't know if it's a traditional thing.
Right.
The girls are still ordering sushi. I'm sick. I'm sitting here like, no more.
Right.
No more. I'm tapped. I can't. And so, to be fair, though, they started light. They both each ordered a roll, ordered more. Then they both maybe got 2 rolls apiece, ordered more, but they paced it.
Right.
I slammed it in one, like Peter Griffin slammed the stack, bad run. Well, then the head chef walks over and he's like, is everything all right? And looks at me like I could tell he's like almost offended. I'm not eating anymore.
Right.
He can see me eating and I ate everything he got, and then, he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I promise. He's like, really? He's like, dude, I'm just stuffed. He goes, oh, okay, very good then. It's like, it was incredible. It was like the best sushi I had. Honestly, it was. But, he's like, okay, cool. I feel better. He goes back, talks to them. All of them are relief. Like, that was the tension. When the biggest guy in a restaurant isn't eating, but the smaller people are still chowing down. That's the assumption.
Right.
And I was sitting here thinking the whole time, I'm like, maybe I don't like sushi as much as wasabi. Something I gotta tell you, I love spice.
Yeah.
Right? So the wasabi, normally you get a blot. I'm doing half a blot per sushi piece.
Jesus.
Because I just couldn't feel the spice. I wanted it to burn like it needed to. And I got maybe 2 good pieces of burn. It just wasn't affecting me. Then the lady, when she came over, I didn't notice it. And I don't know if Jamie threw hers on mine and I just didn't see it.
Right.
I remember when she brought over a special one. Something was put on my plate and I'm like, more wasabi. Boom, I hit it. And then it all hit me at once. Like I couldn't taste anything for like the rest of the meal after about the 10th piece when that wasabi came.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know what this is because I can't taste anything. It's gone. And that was my sushi world experience. It was pretty intense that places like that exist, but I thought that was a good setup too.
Well, it's a much better experience than my last sushi experience. You no doubt know. I had one roll and fucking, I don't know. Yeah, I still don't know. I think it's pretty safe to assume I am not allergic to rice. So my guess is it's probably wasabi because I can eat shrimp. I can eat mayonnaise all day. I could eat freaking seaweed. I don't have any problem with seaweed. I was eating little seaweed snack things, dissolving them on my tongue on the way here one time. So like that, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just probably wasabi or something. Could be horseradish, because from what I understand, and I'm sure we'll get corrected if we're wrong here, but from what I understand, the wasabi you get in most sushi restaurants in the United States is actually primarily horseradish, because wasabi is like real expensive. And usually it's like the really high-end sushi places that have it and not so much here. But I haven't...
It makes sense. That was the swap then.
Yeah, I haven't had normal horseradish by itself probably since I was about 5. So I couldn't tell you, if I have some kind of allergy to it, but I like the spice too. The older I'm getting, and especially now, like my dietary habits have changed, spicy food is much more appealing to me. I'm not crazy with it, right? I'm not trying to like blow my taste buds out, but yeah, definitely I have way more threshold for it now that I'm not eating a lot of fried food, which is, I don't know if it's weird, but it's just a recent development. So.
Seems to me that you got a health bag. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
You can't put the poison back in once you kicked it out. That's the goal.
Definitely. Well, so what do we next week? I am actually going to be in Chicago, but I'm going to be in Chicago for a wedding. So and that's going to be the whole weekend. I start my new job tomorrow. Holy shit. And I'm not going to mention who I'm working for because that's just ignorant and rude. But I am now working in television, which is cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I get to go tomorrow, work for my new job for the first time since I moved here to Indy. And the next week I will be in Chicago, but I'll be there for the wedding. My brother's getting married. So I probably won't be back home here until around 5 o'clock. But if I'm up to it and you're up to it, we'll still record a podcast. I mean, there wasn't a lot of nerdy stuff in this podcast, but you know what? I don't give a shit.
There was a lot of venting for yourself, though, and that's the important thing.
Right. Sometimes it's the nerd that's saying the words, not the words themselves that are nerdy, right? That's always been my logic.
Did you just Yoda the podcast?
I did.
I'm gonna let you Yoda.
I did. I just Yoda'd this. So hopefully next week I will not be too tired to record a podcast, but between you and me, I probably won't be home till like 4 your time. So be a little bit later in the day if you want to do it. But just as a warning to you people, I don't know how tired I'm going to be, and maybe a podcast won't get recorded. So I would say don't expect one, but be pleasantly surprised when there is one. And I'll have all of the no one gives a shit wedding details. Because remember, folks, for those of you that do listen to this podcast, we love that you listen and enjoy it, but we don't do this one for you. We do this one for us, right? This is mine and Bob's We Don't Give a Shit podcast. We love to have a theme, but sometimes that shit just doesn't happen. Sometimes... Go ahead.
I will do you a favor. We do a stuff we can talk about. There's a book called Cult. I'm going to finish digesting. I'm going to kick you. I'll get a copy for you.
Nice.
Because it's a little extra to get another one, but no big deal. Just cover it. It's worth looking because I think this is finally a game, both you and I. It somehow missed us. DJ stuffed it down my throat.
Yeah.
And I thank him for that because it's nothing but nutrition. for the horror RPG enthusiast in me, and we'll see if it fits you.
So we kind of mentioned this before too. I'm going to try to read this book. I don't know if you can see it on the camera.
Blind to Blood.
Yeah, Blind to Blood. This is the book. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but basically, I'm going to read this book. I'm going to try to read this over the week and then on the trip, and I'm going to get you a copy of this book so that you can read it. And at some point in the near future, probably, definitely after the wedding, maybe after Gen Con, we're going to have George Kramer, who's the author. And I'm just going to read you a little blurb from the back. You
did talk to me about this. I was wanting to.
Yep. Ben Burstgill had a unique job. He was a tissue procurement specialist. When someone died, he would surgically remove people's body parts for donation. He really enjoyed doing it. So much so, when an anonymous email asked him to consider recovering people's body parts on the side, he was more than happy to oblige. Trouble was Ben sought out live people to fulfill his clandestine clients' needs. Read all about Ben's exploits in this riveting book that delves into tissue procurement. So we're going to read this also. And I may have mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, but we're going to have Colin on July 1st. Colin is running the Gen Con LARP, Vampire the Masquerade LARP that we will be playing in at Gen Con. So we're going to have him on, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the game, what we can expect, give us information.
And what I could tell you immediately about Colin, we worked with Colin. I worked with Colin especially close to for a couple times at Gen Con. And what I got to tell you is this year, he has a smart, super sexy PR team going for him.
Nice.
I mean, it's going to be pushing them out there. That team is amazing. They're outstanding, pretty well known. You guys know them. Of course, it's us. So it's going to be good to have Colin out to talk a bit about his game and everything else in it.
So if you want to hear more about LARPing and our LARP experience, definitely check back with us on the 1st. We'll have that. And hopefully we don't have any more crazy cell phone store experiences coming up, but I'm hoping that this weekend there are some interesting stories to tell about when the Seaver clan increases in size. Because
I'm hoping you have a boring good time.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping it's just amazing.
So my brother, for those of you who don't know, is a recovered juggalo, but a lot of his friends, they're not recovered. So hopefully there's no stories and the wedding is just blissful and normal, and everything's fine. But if it's not, and is appropriate, I will tell it on next week's Nerd Words. Cool. So until then, definitely go to our website, get your Utility Muffin Labs sticker, $3. Beautiful sticker. Put it anywhere. We'll have more stuff coming. It's a slow process of adding stuff to the gift shop, but check it out, utilitymuffinlabs.com. /muffins for sale, maybe. I don't know. Go to the website. You'll find it there. Right. Find us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Join us on Discord. Go to the website. Links to all this stuff are on the website. That's like super the easiest place to go. So, all right, cool. Well, until next week, I am Nathan.
And I am Bob.
And we will talk to you again soon. Hey folks, this is Nathan from 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade. If you'd like to help support our podcast, there's a few ways you can go about doing so. First, you can get some cool rewards by supporting us at patreon.com/25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade. Check out our website at utilitymuffinlabs.com. We now have a shop where you can get your very own Utility Muffin Lab sticker, or pick up a cool shirt from our TeePublic shop. That's teepublic.com/utilitymuffinlabs. If you want to send us comments, or you are a content creator who'd like to be on one of our podcasts, send us an email to nathan@utilitymuffinlabs.com. Finally, you can send me actual physical letters to P.O. Box 30332, Indianapolis, Indiana 46230. We will be at Gen Con this August as well, so keep listening for more details as they become available. Thank you for supporting Utility Muffin Labs. We are consistently rated adequate.